Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, hopefully sun will come out, it's going to warm up all this rain, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I'm a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined by my very favorite, oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager.
We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on, so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Good morning, babe.
Good morn.
It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Isn't it?
The 7th consecutive week.
I think it's 8 now, isn't it?
The 8th consecutive week that the market's indices have declined. It used to be fun.
It used to be.
It used to be a blast.
Remember the days.
I hate to tell you, what was it, about 4 months ago?
Basically last November.
Yeah, I see folks and they say, Jeff, you're looking thinner and happy. And
now you're looking thinner and haggard.
Need a shave, shower, facelift, all that kind of stuff.
A facelift.
It's fun being an investment
40
advisor.
plus years in the investment advising industry.
It's interesting. Our chief admin, Missy, about 10 o'clock yesterday morning, she looked at me and she goes, "This is one of the times that it isn't fun being an investment advisor, is it?"
And
the answer is no, it is.
No, it is.
This is our
it's
job.
Always fun.
We're not prognosticators.
Well, you know what? Like I said to many a client that called us over the past, since Wednesday, we're here for the good times, but we're also here for the not so good times.
That's right.
That's what our job is.
We're coaches, and we have to make calls. That's what we get paid for.
Yes, it is.
And, if we want to put them in perspective, we need to assess what are the conditions on the field.
If we think of the market or our client's retirement as a football game.
Or a soccer game. Either way.
We're in America.
That's right. Exactly. Are we hot? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it windy? Is it wet? The conditions are always changing, and our job is to assess whether those conditions on the field, and then obviously we have to figure out, do we have the right people on the field?
Right.
Are we using the right personnel?
We're using the right tools.
That's right. Is the game plan that we've designed going to hold up based on the conditions and the people that we have on the field? And then the contingency plan, right?
Yes, planning for the unexpected or the expected unexpected, which means we know eventually some of these things are going to happen, but when is unknown. Like, for example, as a football coach, there's going to be an interception at some point during the year. You don't know when it's coming or how many of them are coming.
Well, that's right. Or there could be a fumble, or there could be a penalty, whatever it might be. But
these are inevitabilities. We just don't have the luxury of knowing when.
Right. I mean, we're always prepared for success because that makes things easy. But what happens if we falter in the middle? What if the markets don't cooperate? What if they get cold? What if expectations turn the other way, which, frankly, they all have at this particular moment? And
even sometimes Susie over here.
Right. I mean, the real question becomes, for us, is the catalyst. And that's what we're looking for. What is the catalyst or catalysts that are going to make expectations turn and at the same time the market situations turn? And that's what we get paid to do. So, and then the same thing also is, this is the toughest one, especially for our listeners, because they're our clients.
Sure.
That's who they are, which
Many
is
of them are.
How do we manage their expectations and how do we manage our expectations? That's important too.
Well, and I think that's an important part of how we design everyone's game plan, which is, and we were talking about this briefly today, which is that, and we've talked about this many times on the radio, when we are designing game plans, we make sure that we, one, have the science correct, meaning do you have enough to retire based on your current assets, your current fixed cash flow, be that from Social Security, pensions, or, other means of consistent income. Do you have,
Does the math work?
Does the math work based on a 4% withdrawal rate, us committing to setting aside 6 months of the cash flow that we know we're going to need from your capital to make sure that it isn't subject to these market fluctuations. And then, as investment advisor representatives, we have responsibilities to you, but you also have some responsibilities to both us and yourself, which is we're going to stick to the game plan, meaning we're going to pull the amount we talked about.
So now that our I'm kidding.
Pity party, never.
Is over, because it isn't. This is what we get paid for. What should you be doing? Well, the first thing that I would do, if it already hasn't happened for you, and frankly, if it hasn't, I'd really be asking why, is you ought to be talking to your advisor.
And, we've sent out over the last, how many months has it been now? 5? Over the last 5 months, we've sent out several emails conveying our thoughts and what our plans are moving forward. We've had the opportunity to have consistent reviews, not necessarily specifically. We are always talking about what the market's doing during our client reviews, but, clients are coming in for other reasons, obviously, throughout the year. But we've sent communications out specifically discussing market conditions, what our thoughts are, not only so all of our clients know our thoughts, but it gives them the opportunity to say, hey, I'd like to chat more about it, or at least send us an email, let us know what they're thinking.
Well, plus we also have weekly updates.
That's right.
We're here on the show.
Of course.
People can hear us, and they hear our advice on what we're doing, and we're pretty open about what we'd like to do. So I would be asking about my game plan. What is
for today?
Right. I mean, am I still on track? Where do you see things, as much as you can, project them in the next week, or even, frankly, for the balance of the year?
Sure.
What changes are you recommending, if any, and why? And that, I think that would be important. That'll, I think, give you a little bit more clarity, hopefully a little bit more comfort as we're dealing with this particular downward cycle. But I think what's also important is to remind, and I'm sure your advisor will tell you, you have to stay in the game. Volatility is truly the price that we pay for the chance for higher returns. I mean, how you got here was by being invested. As your advisor, as we are planning for the next 20 to 30 years of your life, which we have to do, we know you need to be invested. We also know the market does cycle, and it's hard to remember it cycles. I mean, 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago, the markets fell 50%.
It's 35%.
Okay, 35%, which felt like 50%. But
well, the rapid rate of the decline was staggering. We haven't seen the same type of yet. Potentially, we haven't seen the same type of panic selling that was going on during COVID,
right.
And that was really because I think that's a very clear distinction between what happened in 2020 and what's going on right now. In 2020, we as a modern society hadn't experienced a pandemic before. I mean, you could go back to the Spanish flu or whatever, but most of us in our lives hadn't experienced something like that. We didn't know what was going to happen, what the impact was going to be. So it was almost like you were looking out into the abyss. In this particular market cycle, it may feel like we're in the abyss, but the reality is that the market does cycle. Businesses cycle. Our economy is going to cycle. And right now, as opposed to having a boom, we're having a not so much.
Yeah, and I would say my take on this is that as we were calling, as we did, every single client
right
during the pandemic, and
mm-hmm.
having both of us having these conversations, people weren't.
They're much more concerned about their well-being personally, their health, their families, their safety.
Whether they were going to live, whether their family members, they weren't really so worried about their portfolio because they didn't know if there was going to be a tomorrow. That may be a little too cynical, but truthfully, that's what it was, and people just didn't care. We made movements, we made changes.
It wasn't their number one priority.
It certainly wasn't, and it was fine. Today it's a little bit different because we're looking at a whole variety of reasons. Obviously it isn't something as significant as we're shutting the U.S. economy down, period.
No, but there's a lot of pressures, and they're coming
sure.
from the economic side, which is you drive around and you see gas prices well over $4. You go to the grocery store, prices are up. So it's a different type of pressure that can be felt really immediately, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, we have inflation. We have a communist incursion.
Oh, come on. Let's not go down that path.
Well, we have, I'm just saying that's also going on at the same time. And we also see supply chains being significantly affected. So we have a lot of this truly economic stuff going on at the same time. And that creates unpredictability. And unpredictability creates volatility. And volatility in the markets is not always wonderful.
But, there still are quite a few bright spots in the economy. There's still plenty of hope to go around. And we know that, this has just unfortunately lasted longer than many of us expected.
Or hoped.
And also it's not abating as quickly as we thought it was going to. So that adds additional pressure and also starts to fray on the nerves. That's all.
Sure. And, again, as we're thinking about this, what should you be doing? You ought to be talking to your advisor, finding out what they are, where they see, how is your personal game plan being affected?
Mm-hmm.
What measures are they taking in terms of dealing with your investment portfolio? Excuse me. And I want to say to our clients, as well as our listeners that are out there, we planned for this to happen. Not that we knew it was going to happen, but
or when,
but we know that what's really occurring is we're giving back the last 2 years worth of gains. Part of it. I mean, that's truly what's happening. If you look at with our clients, they look at their account view, they look at their chart. You go to you can just see what's happened in the last 5 years. We're not digging into principal. We're actually doing is giving back some of those gains, which, of course, the minute you earn the money, you think it's yours, and it isn't, but it feels good.
It felt real nice on the way up, but also that was part of when we were talking about what is the game plan itself. Well, for many of those people that are looking back on their historical data, you can also look back to see, or, if your particular broker-dealer doesn't have this capability, you should be able to look back and say, okay, how much have I pulled over the course of the last 4 or 5 years? Were you living off of gains too, in addition to still seeing, you're not eating away at principles? So most people, you were able to use the power of the market to continue to maintain your lifestyle. If you were staying within that prudent rate of withdrawal, then your account value doesn't look so great in this moment potentially, but like
As
you
good
said,
as it
Dad,
did.
right.
Right.
We planned for that by sticking to the rules that we all set out together, and
Well, the math worked, and so therefore
Exactly.
the math continues to work. So will people have to adjust their withdrawals? The answer is most likely. The answer is no.
right. If you were doing your thing before, continue to do it the way that we planned.
You know, if you pulled excess amounts of capital, again, we retest your game plan to say, hey, does this 4% withdrawal still work?
Mm-hmm.
And for most people, the answer is yes, it does, but it doesn't feel good.
No.
We can't wait. We know that there are catalysts that are out there
Sure.
that will make the markets turn. We're patiently going to be looking, waiting, and wanting them to happen. And once they do, we'll certainly make the appropriate moves, we think, at that particular time, because this game doesn't have a clock. It's always
always forever.
right. It's always in motion, and the rules are always the same. The rule being we can only control our own behaviors. So being prudent, having a game plan actually to start and sticking with it, having a coach to say, hey, we're still on track, or these are the moves that we think we have to make that are prudent at this moment, is really what you want to do. And certainly our clients know that. We sent out an email Thursday, and which outlined
Our thoughts and decisions.
and also we said if X happens, Y is going to happen, and X happens, so Y did happen. So we made some portfolio changes yesterday.
Yes.
And we're not going to discuss those on the air, but they know, and you'll see, and it's all good. And
Indeed.
we think they're prudent, and so the conditions changed on the field. So guess what? You change your personnel, you get a little bit up to date. So that's all good. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 931-5877 or 84126 from the currently
Quiet.
But we were talking.
We're always talking.
Text line. Exactly.
I think we should take our first break of the hour, and when we get back, I think we should talk about something sunny and happy, like how to be a rock star in retirement.
That deserves a woohoo!
Exactly.
I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
Don't touch that dial. We'll have some fun when we get back.
I'm Jennifer Blome. Spring has sprung in St. Louis, and it is the perfect time to get ready to garden. Pasiglia's Nursery and Garden Center has been in the St. Louis region since 1950. It's a third-generation family-owned business that has grown to become the premier nursery in St. Louis. They're located in Wildwood, and you'll find 10 acres of beautiful, high-quality trees, shrubs, perennials, and annuals, and Pasiglia's experts will answer all your questions about where to plant things so they'll thrive. And the staff works year-round on landscape design plans and on installations as weather allows. Whether you want an outdoor fireplace, brick patio, kitchen, or full landscaping plan, they can help you. Pasiglia's Nursery and Garden Center is in Wildwood. It's located right at the corner of Clayton Road and Highway 109. They're open 7 days a week. It's really a fun trip. It'll get you inspired to make your backyard beautiful. Check them out online as well, Pasiglia.com.
Do you like antiques?
Sure do, sonny boy. I married one.
I mean antiques and collectibles like those you'd find at the Belleville Flea Market. It's the largest antique flea market in the St. Louis area, with over 600 vendors each day in the air-conditioned exposition center. And there are more collectibles and bargains outside. It's Saturday and Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds in Belleville, Illinois, Route 13 and 159. For more info, call 618-233-0052 or bcfairgrounds.net. Make it an antique and collectible weekend at the Belleville Flea Market. And Doug.
Chances are you're jamming in your car right now. And since Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance so you only pay for what you need, Limu and I are going to show you some safe car dance moves. Hit it. Everybody, check your blind spots real quick. Now hands on the wheel. Put them 10 in 2 and move your head like a bird do. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314 863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back here in the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
And we are willing, waiting, and wanting to answer your questions. Phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 931-5877 or star.
No.
I want a star. They got rid of it on the cell phone. Or 84126 from the text line.
You know, right? Where's our weekly I-bonds question? Come on, guys.
I'm not taking another I-bonds question.
You have gotten down the answer to a nice science, though. I feel like it's in the repertoire.
It's 10,000. Buy it once. Don't talk to me.
Hold it forever.
Yeah. Nobody even knew what iPhones were like 2 years ago.
Well, you know what? That shows. I feel like that is just a very small example of why I have a lot of faith in the future of our economy in this country. Is because, people are always looking to improve their situation. I-bonds weren't a thing 2 years ago because inflation wasn't a thing 2 years ago, but now that it is, they're looking for, how do I capitalize on this situation?
Well, it's interesting because, if folks...
And that's why they put a limit on it.
I'm going to answer the stupid question. Okay,
there was no question. I just brought it up.
I-bond is a long-term bond.
Right. You have to hold it for 5 years to get the full power of it.
Right. And this whole, it has a yield of 9% today. Well, that's great, but what does that tell you? Government isn't issuing bonds at 9%. Are you crazy? We'd be totally bankrupt last week. What we're talking about is a bond that you could have bought for $10,000.
Right.
But now you're buying it for like $4,000. I mean, you're buying a highly discounted bond.
Mm-hmm.
And the yield or the interest rate is increased because you bought it at this deep discount.
Right.
When interest rates rise, and listen, Lord, inflation, as it begins to abate, which it will, because this is not a South American country. What's going to happen is that these I-bonds are going to become less valuable. The yields will go back to what they used to be.
Well, sure, but for now, it sounds like a great opportunity.
Okay, for all of $10,000. Okay.
Well, and that's obviously why there's a limit on them.
I told your mom drive to the bank. Don't talk to me.
She wants to own $1 trillion of I-bonds.
She just likes to drive.
Really? I don't really like it. $4.50 a gallon. I'll walk.
Okay. See ya.
I'll drive in your car. First question of the day. Any suggestions on economizing to weather the impending recession? Okay, so this texture is obviously even more negative than you today, Dad, which is...
I'm not negative. It's just unfortunately the bull, you think that like they dehorned me.
Pretty much. You got...
I lost one.
No Olay there. But,
woohoo.
So I think that is something that we didn't specifically discuss, which was recession probabilities. I don't think that, like you said, we're not prognosticators.
Nope.
I would just say that, recession will happen eventually. They always do. I would say it's not on the short-term horizon here. But what are some, let's phrase it slightly differently. What are some suggestions on economizing during this time?
Well, again, I would say one of the things that many people have already done, but a lot of people haven't.
Yes.
Telephone land lines.
Oh, get rid of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be...
I did this about 3-4 years, maybe it was 6 years ago.
And it's probably the most annoying thing that's ever happened.
Actually, it isn't, because the nice part is now my cell phone gets all of these, we'll call them spam calls.
Right.
I'm not interrupted during Walker, Texas Ranger, which I hate to be
interrupted
listeners, while I'm watching that.
If you happen
5 to 7, H&E, H&I, I love it.
Swear we didn't get paid for that.
That's before the Trek stuff starts all night.
If you are a parent and you've decided to get rid of your landline, it would just be remarkably helpful for your children who care about you to, actually look at your phone when we call, as opposed to having to call. First I call you, then I call mom, then I call the dog. Like,
we don't really like you that much.
That's probably
going
to have to start calling the police to be like, can you please go do a health and wellness check? Because at least when you had the landline, like, it would blare, you would answer. Because you love to answer.
I always answer.
Right.
No, I do.
Every telemarketer gets a chat from Jeff.
No, they don't. If it says spam, I don't pick it up. But otherwise, I just say thank you, take me off your list.
Right,
okay?
It's cute.
And that's kind of one of those things. Great.
So, okay, but I think you could kind of extrapolate out the getting rid of the landline to if you're having concerns about expenses, if you're not able to make natural adjustments to your monthly expenses because everything's become a little bit pricier, then maybe it does make sense to take a look through the things that you're spending, the subscriptions that you've had that have been ongoing. I'm a perfect example of this. Like, I've signed up for a bunch of different services. Some of them cost $10, $5, $3 a month. Well, maybe it's time to look through those automated payments and say, I haven't used this app in 6 months. Maybe we get rid of that. Or, see where you compare that's not going to have the hugest impact on your current lifestyle. Because in a lot of cases, although we just talked about this has gone on longer than we planned, well, the one bright spot, at least at the moment, is our job market, which is wages are rising. There are 2 jobs available for every one individual. So maybe, you can work the equation on both sides. One side is we limit our expenses. The other side is maybe it's time for you to throw your hat into the ring again to look for some higher paying positions, because there are a lot of people out there hiring, and they're hiring at a higher wage. So there are some good opportunities out there to take advantage of.
I have one more.
And then I have one that you mentioned to me last week, so we got 2 left on deck here.
Groupon.
Yeah.
It will.
Some discounts.
Let me just say this to you. I'm not talking about, you want to have
horseback riding or something.
Fungus, nasal, whatever it is, nail stuff. I'm not talking. But I'm talking. What's interesting is that I would tell you is about restaurants.
Sure.
When I look at Groupon on purpose, because there are particular restaurants that your mom and I frequent all the time.
Mm-hmm. The top 5.
Right. And if I see a Groupon come up, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pay the $12 to get a $25 meal, which now covers the drinks, and that's about it.
Sure.
But I think it makes sense. Again, if we can figure out how we can do things more economically of what we're already doing, not adding new things,
right?
That makes more sense. And I have actually found that Groupon has been useful. It also is useful in our business. As an example, I decided after we bought our building that we needed to get it power washed.
Mm.
You feel the same way about your house. Well, we ended up getting it at 50% off the normal price, and I thought that was great.
And I think this actually dovetails into what you were saying to me maybe a week or 2 ago, that you're starting to see the deals come back again.
Yes.
Which is, even if you're driving through fast food, even if the prices are elevated, well, now, the dollar menu's $2, but maybe you get 2 items. Like, there are a few there are some more deals out there. And I also think that as demand starts to be dampened, that's the natural response, because businesses always, you obviously need sales as a business to maintain. So you're going to try and get people in the door either by using companies like Groupon to promote your deals, or if you frequent certain places, maybe check out when they have those deals. For example, you talk about Pasta House quite frequently, when the nights that they have their unlimited pasta or whatever. Well, or they're 2-for-1s like at Maggiano's. Well, maybe
or kids eat free. Take your grandkids out on Monday or Tuesday.
Right, so maybe you start taking advantage of some of the deals that you said, no big deal before.
Honey, and this kind of leads me to something that we talk a lot about clients with, and it's what I like to call blinders.
Yes, you're driving on the highway of life.
Right. I mean, and while you're gainfully employed, I believe you have blinders on. You don't really pay attention to, as I like to say, the deals that are flying to you left and right, the opportunities that you have, because you're really focused on getting to work, being there, coming home,
doing what
eating dinner, passing out, starting the routine. But you don't have the time to widen your focus. Mm-hmm. you don't have the time to, or frankly, you don't maybe even pay attention to the deals being out there. And I think once you give yourself that opportunity, you can be more cost effective and more cost efficient. And frankly, for
without
most of our
changing your
clients,
habits, really.
right. I mean, it becomes kind of a fun game, and they really do incorporate this in. So I would say that we don't have to look at reducing spending. Maybe we can think about how are ways you could be more efficient. And frankly, I thought this was a great question. And to our listeners, as you're coming up with other ideas, that
please let us know.
Please let us know. We want to know about those, because I think I'd love for us to do a real future segment about this.
What are some top deals around town?
And this is from the listeners. This is from our St. Louis and
Illinois listeners.
Illinois listeners.
And you can go to our website, jblfinancial.com, click on the Contact Us section. Sure. You can let us know there. We also have a Facebook if you'd like to friend us, JBL Financial, and you can post on our page some of the deals that you may have found, or send us a message and let us know. If you don't want to post them publicly, that's completely fine. But we would definitely love to share any tips and tricks that you found with everyone else, because just like our show, if you've thought about it, maybe others have thought about it or want to capitalize on it.
Well, before we get to our next text, which I know we have a couple coming in, which is fabulous, at 84126 on the text line, or Eric's ready for your calls, 931-5877. I would say that we didn't talk about our newsletter,
That's
Coach's
true.
Corner, which you can find on our website, jblfinancial.com. But that Contact Us section, we get a lot of questions, which become content for the show, and then maybe more importantly,
coaching session requests.
People are saying, hey, I want to come in and talk about healthcare. I want to talk about my retirement game plan. I want to talk about both. And our staff, Erin controls this, and so she gets right on top of them. And our staff will give you a call or send you an email and arrange this time to visit with us. And we're seeing lots of folks every week, because that's a lot of fun, even during this economic time. We're going to talk, after we take our next text, we're going to talk a little bit about some rock stars that we just visited with last week.
Yes. Text. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I really enjoy your show. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, cuz.
I have to say you both are very educated in finance. Again, all the compliments. My goodness. I think the main driver of inflation is the supply chain and natural gas or energy. I think the current administration overstepped their boundaries putting in place policies that hurt the American people. I'd like to hear your view on it.
I think that hindsight is 20/20. I would like to say that we do know that we were actually we went from being the largest net energy consumers to producers in the last administration. Fossil fuel production is certainly not a driver in this administration, and unfortunately what's happened is this incursion with Ukraine has obviously
put pressure on that situation.
Supply lines, and unfortunately, natural oil is in everything except for milk. Just about everything that we do, oil is involved in, and so we're not seeing, at least in my opinion, a concerted, all-out, all-hands-on-deck effort to deal with oil issue, or frankly to deal with the supply issues, and that's one thing I think that may be. I mean, it's always fun
to use the administration as a punching bag, but I think
plus it's easy.
Sure, and there are things that they could be doing and could have done that would change the situation, but I also think a lot of this is a confluence of events, which is we had a severe drop in demand of not just oil but everything during COVID. And that created a pent-up surge that we're now experiencing in response to that lack of demand. Remember when they were paying people to hold oil? Remember those days?
Right.
Well, that shut a lot of the refineries down in the U.S. because if you don't need to produce it, if you don't need to refine it, then there's no reason to have those refineries online, which is now putting even more pressure on our ability to, get oil that we can consume as gasoline. We're having troubles internationally, not just in Russia and the Ukraine, but China is still going through whatever issues they are with their shutdowns, putting more pressure on our supply lines.
Yes.
So a lot of things have reached a head at this point, which also, at least that gives me a little bit of confidence that if everything is at its breaking point now, that must mean that something's going to come after.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, and honey, we kind of put this in the back, but I think we ought to put this to the front.
Let's move it to the front.
What I did was I went back into the archives.
Oh, I love this. This is a
show.
great one.
And you'll love folks. I don't know if you'll love this,
segment.
but it's just true.
This is from July of 2013.
July 20th, 2013. And I called this segment at that time, If I Only Knew. Well, now I think we could call it History Repeats Itself.
Everything old is new again.
That's right. We started off the show by talking about how coaching is fun. It's neat to be the information guy, our client's go-to guy, their investment advisor, their friend, their confidant.
Mm-hmm.
And that still remains the same. I mean, we feel it's really important, and hopefully what's happened is that our relationships over time deepen with our clients so that we can understand their needs and wants and aspirations, and obviously laugh at the jokes and cry at the not-so-fun things that happen.
Sure.
Right.
I agree.
But being an investment advisor can also be fun. If I only knew.
So this is 2013, guys.
Right, that Ben Bernanke was going to make a statement about reducing Fed repurchases. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. What's happening now?
Chairman Powell has said, we're going to reduce the Fed repurchases.
By what, like $90 billion a month?
Correct. A lot more than they even imagined 8 years ago. The second one, well, fortunately we're not at this one. This is when the Standard & Poor's 500, when the Standard & Poor's reduced the
grade on the U.S. debt.
Yeah, which wasn't really very good to do.
No.
And that there was a coup at that time in Egypt.
And it was going to happen quick. Wasn't this Arab
Spring?
Yeah,
Arab Spring, quickly and quietly. And now we have
Russia and the Ukraine.
During times of uncertainty, the calm in the storm is having rules and sticking by them.
And I think if nothing else, that should create some calm because, Dad, you've held the same belief system.
And I used to have that chair before you stole it from me.
Well, and I was thinking back to...
I used to like you too, you know?
Back to... I never liked you.
Early 30s. Late 20s, when you were in your late 20s.
Are you revealing my age to everyone? That is so inappropriate.
Well, you weren't 12 years old 8 years ago, honey.
Well, to your point, in 2013, I had just joined you.
Yes.
March of 2013. So I would basically 3 months in or 4 months when you wrote this.
Yeah, and I remember, Dad, you know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, when's the last time you heard that?
Exactly. Thank you. And during times of uncertainty, we want to try to limit our emotional responses.
Sure. Which is why we have the rules.
Because rules take some of the emotion out of that. What they also do is they provide for consistent behavior patterns, which is important. When you get inconsistent, that's when you typically will stumble, fall, make mistakes.
Well, emotions are heightened when you see what's going on when you're experiencing it. So having the rules can put up some guardrails for you.
And really, rules also create a framework for ways to evaluate performance. And I think that's also important. Hindsight is always 20/20, and it is. And rethinking the decisions that you make is human nature.
Oh, but also that gives us time for reflection on how we might react to, as we've just pointed out, how much history repeats itself when new situations that are not the same but arise. Did our rules work for the,
Well, and I would say, and our clients, our listeners, we have rules. We let folks know what the rules are.
It's part of our setting those expectations.
And we're trying to set it, and we follow those rules. We build consistency. We've been through, I hate to say this, we're basically in correction territory, as it would be, or we're leaving it and going into bear market territory. And so having rules, if we do go there, is going to be extremely important as a way to, like you said, temper expectations and also get the performance that we want and hopefully the outcomes that we want so that our clients can continue to spend what they're spending, maintain their lifestyles, look forward to the future, because we know that you've heard me say this a million times. I don't believe that the best days of this country are behind us. No matter how much it seems now, it doesn't matter who's in the White House.
Right.
I really think the future's going to be bright. Right now, it's like it's outside. It's just a little
gloomy,
little overcast. And consistency leads to peace of mind. Knowing your advisor's going to be consistent.
That's key.
Is even more.
I think we should take our second break of the hour, and then we have a technical question from Harvey. Who should have a trust, and should you put an IRA inside of a trust?
Fabulouski. We can't wait to get to Harvey when we cut back. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
We'll be right back.
On Saturday, May 28th, the Cardinals host the Milwaukee Brewers. And that day, 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, will take home their very own stainless steel tumbler featuring Yadier Molina, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. This 30-ounce Yadi tumbler comes in 2 styles, and you will not know which one you will receive until you enter the gates at Busch Stadium. That's Saturday, May 28th, the Cardinals, the Brewers, and the Yadi tumbler. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com.
Kick off the summer season and spend your Memorial Day at the ballpark. On Monday, May 30th, the Cardinals host the Padres, and that day, 25,000 fans ages 21 and older will take home their own set of 4 cornhole bags thanks to Budweiser. There are 2 designs available, one that highlights memorable pitchers and one that features Cardinals' great catchers. That's Monday, May 30th. Great seats remain, so get your tickets today at cardinals.com.
Is your job just a job, and you want to work in a rewarding career? If the answer is yes, then start your journey today by becoming a union construction craft laborer. Why wait? Visit buildunion.com to learn more about becoming a union craft laborer and starting a rewarding career in the construction industry. Build a career, build a future, build a legacy. Buildunion.com for more information.
When you go antiquing at the Hill Antique Market, you'll help support more than 75 local vendors and artists. The offerings keep growing. Enjoy a delicious lunch at Oliva Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 2. Then unwind every Wednesday during Wind Down Wednesdays from 5 till close, where you can enjoy an amazing menu of small plates paired with your favorite wines. And if you're looking for a spectacular venue for a reception or corporate party, consider renting the beautiful and memorable La Verona. It all happens at the Marketplace on the Hill at 4923 Daggett. Online at cateringSTLewis.com.
May is Maytag month, the hardest working month of the year, when you can save on hard-working Maytag performance. Like laundry pairs that make clothes think twice before getting dirty again. Refrigerators that make cold your new favorite flavor. And dishwashers that eat caked on oatmeal for breakfast.
Don't wait. Put the hardest working month of the year to work for you and save big on Maytag appliances now through June 1st. Because May is Maytag month.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
Thanks. I guess I'll just wait here patiently for my next line.
I can't help it. You're a little slow on the uptake, young lady.
That is not what I sound like.
I love you anyway.
That's
you know
really
that.
nice.
You know that.
Well, I'm
and
here.
And if you weren't at work,
where would we all be?
Exactly. It makes it much more fun for me. So,
you know what? Let's talk to Harvey.
hobby.
He's got some questions about trust. This is one of your favorite topics.
Fabulousky, let's go.
Yeah.
Harvey, how are you? Thank you so much for calling this morning. Eric was he was dying in the booth back
doing great
there.
on this wonderful sunny day.
I like
it's
a
sunny
sense of
somewhere
humor.
on the planet. Very good.
It's got to be sunny somewhere. We're looking at what the stock market's doing. I have to look at a day like today and say, "Oh, this is sunny."
Is that short for "Thank God it's closed for the weekend"?
Right.
Yes.
Very, very good. What's your question today?
Well, two questions, but the main one is, can you put and should you put an IRA inside of a trust? And then secondarily is, who should have trust? I'm actually looking at an irrevocable trust.
Okay. Well, good, Harvey. Thanks again for your question. An irrevocable trust is one that's typically used where you want to get assets out of your control and take them out of your estate. So irrevocable trusts are typically used for charitable purposes. What they're also used for is holding life insurance policies as a way to reduce your estate. Are you a super rich guy?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
Not after last week.
So
No,
I guess my question is, what type of assets are you looking at parting from yourself so that you cannot irrevocably get to them?
Well, it's mostly the IRA monies that I want to make sure they're for my kids. I have some health issues, and I don't want to see that deplete all of my savings.
Oh, good. Okay. So let's talk about what you could be doing and frankly, why. And maybe you're just, I would say that your terminology with the trust is maybe just a little, you're not quite correct. In a living trust, the reason that we create trusts is because we want to somehow put some barriers there for that person or persons, especially if they're minor children, or maybe if they're children that have issues, and being able to get complete control over the money. The other reason that we might do it, especially with an IRA that children might inherit, is that the IRS doesn't really consider these their assets. They consider them yours that never got taxed.
So they could be subject to, if there were any creditors against your children. Inside of a trust, they would be protected. Outside, the creditors could seize those assets.
Okay, so let's really talk about what this means. The actual titling of your IRA is not going to change. What would happen is that you might be adding, assuming, are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so most likely your wife is going to be the primary beneficiary because you don't want to be sleeping outside in the rain. Okay? Yep. And secondarily, what would happen is the contingent beneficiary of that, should she predecease you, would be your living trust. That'll bypass probate. What will also happen is that trust will then have provisions in it through your will, which says, I want, at my death, I want 2 IRA trusts to be set up for the benefit of my children. And those would be called beneficiary IRAs.
Assuming you have 2 children, 1 for each.
Yeah, you may have more or less. But that will then create the creditor proofing that you want, and at the same time, also maybe create some management opportunities for them if they're minors. You can have a third-party trust company. You can name someone else, a brother, sister, spouse, whomever it would be, as a trustee on those trusts, along with a third party, or just the third party, or just them. But again, that would give you the opportunities that you want. But an irrevocable trust is something that you wouldn't be using.
Right, because then you no longer control the asset.
Right.
It's been taken out of your estate.
And the fact is, you can't assign your IRAs to an irrevocable trust because you just can't do it.
Right.
So does that answer your questions?
Yeah.
Good.
But
good.
I'm also told that there's the 5-year look back, and
what's happening. Whoever you're talking to, stop talking to them.
They've got a few things jumbled together.
They are confused because they're obviously not a lawyer who you should be talking to about this.
This is definitely something that you want to consult an attorney about.
Yeah. The 5-year look back is something that's referring to the state laws involving Medicaid spend down. Okay, and that is when someone has to go into a nursing home, they want the state to step in and make payments for them. Property that's gifted
And Harvey did mention that he has some health issues, so if you're to the point where you think that Medicaid might need to step in at some point in the future, they do also have specific attorneys that can assist you in asset preservation as well as Medicaid spend down. But again, just like my dad said, these are areas where you absolutely want to consult a professional before making any decisions.
And those are called elder attorneys. We have folks that we work with. If you want to send us an email, hit the contact us at jblfinancial.com.
And we can get you some referrals.
We would be very happy to make some referrals to you to folks that we've worked with in the past. But generally, I will tell you that they will probably say they really want to talk to you when you're getting ready to enter a facility.
Approaching that 5-year mark potentially, because there's some time.
No. That's okay. So, but send us an email. We'd be very happy to have that. But in general, what happens is unless you're really looking at Medicaid spend down and protection from that, which you may or may not have to do, that's
the 5-year rule is not an issue for you.
You don't have to worry about that. But thanks so much for your call. That was a good one.
It was a good one.
A little complicated, but that was a good one.
Well, and I have maybe we'll save it till after the break, a question about, putting IRAs into trusts now. I think it might be less complicated.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. What happens
into a revocable trust. I know you weren't supposed to. I mean, leaving it as leaving your trust as the beneficiary of your IRA. Now that everyone has to liquidate within the 10-year period, do you need individual beneficiary IRAs, or could you use one for all the kids because the ages no longer matter for required minimum distribution, since you're not allowed to do that anymore?
Well, generally, the way that those trusts are written, they're written as what we call see-through trusts. So what's happening is the trust language is saying is that each beneficiary, an IRA, a beneficiary IRA is created for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide to go further in your document and say we want it to actually be an IRA trust for each one of those, that's fine. But the account still has to get broken up into individual names.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't going to be like a single holding thing, because what if somebody predeceases another one?
Right.
And since each beneficiary also has the right to take the money out under their own distribution pattern, it would be really hard to administer.
Because of growth or loss or whatever might happen to the account value as time progresses.
Yep. So, again, a trust can be valuable for you if you want to control the asset flow to someone. At the same time, if it's okay for those children to receive those assets directly at your death, then you don't need a trust. It's when you don't trust is when you need a trust, or if you want creditor protection.
Or you have a higher level of complexity because maybe you're a second marriage and certain assets are going to the children, certain assets are staying for someone's living off the interest in the income of assets. If your situation warrants a little bit more complication after your passing, then maybe control. After your passing, maybe you're someone that might look at the possibility of a trust, but it doesn't protect against taxation. Like many people think, there's no tax benefits to having a trust, and
not a living trust. That's correct.
And your beneficiary designations, if, like my dad just said, you can pass the assets on in full. Beneficiary designations will take care of that and bypass probate.
Yes,
for you.
Absolutely, and I would say that your financial advisor, if you have one, as our clients do, we like to think that we can get our clients best prepared to see their lawyers. And that's really what our function is so that we can help them with some of the base stuff.
What are your ideas, your thoughts, your goals?
And discuss maybe what we think are some options that are available to them so that they can really be very well prepared when they see their lawyer to talk turkey. And that's good because ultimately you're going to follow your lawyer's advice on these matters, or they're not really your lawyer.
Right.
People that are responsible, you want them to be held responsible, and that's a very important thing to do. We do have to take our last break of this hour.
Yes.
We will be back with another full hour of straight talk on retirement with my very favorite oldest prodigal daughter.
Aaron Lapidus.
The mouth that roared.
Rude.
And I'm Jeff Lapidus.
Are you now?
Yes, I am. And we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
The home of Julie Buck, KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. At the U.S. military base in Ramstein, Germany today, pallets of baby formula shuttled onto government planes. The first shipment from approved plants in Europe now bound for the U.S. to help ease the nationwide shortage. ABC's Mary Alice Parks has more on Operation Fly Formula.
This week, the president directed his administration to start doing this, to speed up the process of bringing formula here. This first shipment is said to include specifically 132 pallets of Nestle Health Science Alphamino Infant and Alphamino Junior formula. They're flying from a U.S. air base in Germany to Indianapolis. And these are special hypoallergenic types that some babies require.
No word yet on when those shipments will hit store shelves. President Biden wrapping up his visit to South Korea. Both leaders say they'll expand military joint exercises in the region as North Korea threatens to launch more missiles. The president heads to Japan tomorrow. While in Seoul, the president signed off on the congressional aid package for Ukraine to help battle Russia. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge is in Ukraine's capital.
Burnt out Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers, now a local attraction here in the heart of Kiev. As President Biden signs that whopping $40 billion military aid package for Europe and Ukraine because of Russia's invasion here.
There are now 2 cases of monkeypox confirmed in the U.S., the rare virus spreading in more countries around the world, and health officials don't know why.
Monkeypox is rare, says ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton. It's a less severe strain of smallpox.
The concern is that we're seeing cases around the United States without obvious causes of transmission, and that causes concern because we're trying to figure out exactly how are these people infected.
Monkeypox can cause flu-like symptoms, triggers enlarged lymph nodes, and fluid-filled lesions on the face, hands, and feet. Most people recover in a few weeks.
ABC's Chuck Sievertson. You're listening to ABC News.
When flying insects show up in your home, how do you get rid of them? Hopelessly clapping every single one? Aimlessly swatting back and forth? Hanging fly strips in your living room? Ew, ew, ew. Instead, try Zevo Traps. Zevo uses light, not odor or chemical insecticides, to attract and trap bugs, working continuously so you don't have to. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly. Now at a store near you.
May is Maytag month, the hardest working month of the year, when you can save on hard-working Maytag performance. Like laundry pairs that make clothes think twice before getting dirty again. Refrigerators that make cold your new favorite flavor. And dishwashers that eat caked on oatmeal for breakfast.
Don't wait. Put the hardest working month of the year to work for you and save big on Maytag appliances now through June 1st. Because May is Maytag month.
Russia cut off natural gas supplies for Finland today after it refused to pay in rubles. That affects about 5% of Finland's supplies, but other countries are much more dependent on Russia for fuel.
In an attempt to shore up its currency when it's facing crippling Western sanctions, Russia insisted foreign buyers pay for its gas in rubles. Countries that refused to do so, Poland, Bulgaria, and Finland, had their supplies cut. But Germany and Italy get almost half their gas from Russia and are in no position for now to cut off supply. The EU has said buying Russian gas in rubles breaks sanctions, but written rules remain unclear, giving countries like Germany and Italy just enough wiggle room to keep the Russian gas flowing for now. Megan Williams, ABC News, Rome.
New details about emails sent by Jenny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, surrounding the 2020 presidential election results. Here's ABC's Jonathan Carl.
Newly revealed emails show that as President Trump was calling on the Supreme Court to overturn the election, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was actively urging Republicans to overturn Joe Biden's election victory in at least one key state, Arizona. In emails, Jenny Thomas urged top Republican in the Arizona state legislature to overturn the will of the state's voters, writing, quote, "You have the power to fight back against fraud. Please take action to ensure a clean slate of electors is chosen."
This is ABC News.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
We are willing, we are waiting, and God knows, we are wanting to answer your questions and your text at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the unusually quiet text line.
It's rainy. It's hard to wake up this morning. I
know.
it.
I was kind of apologizing. I felt like I was just
Eeyoring it up.
I was a little bit of a downer. Your mom's freaking out. Like, what's going on?
Right. You're usually glass is overflowing, man.
Yeah,
Now you're like glass broken, man.
Well, it needs a little mending.
You know, we have a text question, which is
yes, a really motivating one. Yes.
Since you're talking about it, we were talking about Medicaid spend down last hour.
Yes.
If a home was deeded in 1989 in mom's name with joint tenants and rights of survivorship to the daughter, would that be past the 5-year look back for Medicaid approval in 2021, or does that contract not count as a transfer of assets as defined by the state? Well, the good news here is
we're not lawyers.
We are not lawyers. We're also not experts in Medicaid spend down. However, one of the main rules of Medicaid spend down is you're able to maintain your residence. So
a funeral plot
and one vehicle, $2,000 of cash, or $2,000 or $3,000 of cash. So by the limited amount of information we have, sounds like that won't be an issue. Also, it's well exceeded the 5-year look back from 1989 to 2021.
Yeah.
So but also, when you are preparing for Medicaid spend down, or when you are preparing to utilize Medicaid, it's definitely important to get an expert involved, because although these are state-run programs, they have a lot of eccentricities and specifics that you do not want to run afoul of. So, consulting with a professional is probably the best way to either maximize the benefits you'll be able to take advantage of for mom, and also protect the assets that she does have.
Yes, and just an add-on to that is the paperwork.
There's a lot of it.
And most elder attorneys actually assist and pay, and you pay them, and you want to.
Right, because they're experts.
To actually do the paperwork for you. So, again, we're more than happy to share those folks that we have worked with, have faith with, and also trust. So, always happy to send us an email. We're happy to respond to that. Or Erin will respond, because she steals all.
Well, people want responses. That's why they come to me.
They do get them quickly, which is great. I think let's dovetail, if we can, into our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment for the morning, sponsored by our very good friends and partners
at Aetna and Anthem of Missouri.
We thank you so much for sponsoring the show.
That's right. Jill called our office last week, and she only has Medicare Part A and B without any supplements, which I thought was curious. Right. I immediately thought, oh, God. But
here we go again.
But then she followed it up by saying she's fairly healthy and wondered if she even needed a Medicare supplement because she never goes to the doctor.
I thought her name should be Nanette.
No,
so we could say, no, Nanette. Thinking is not quite right.
The good news is that she is turning 65 next month.
Oh, smart girl.
And she's heard about that 7-month window that she has to make a decision, not only if she needed A and B, but also the supplement. So she's had a little bit of information, like many of our clients like to say, enough information to be dangerous.
Yes.
And she was, she's not at the end of the 7-month window. She's right in the middle of it. So she just wanted to get a little bit more information, confirm her thoughts on things. and wanted to make sure she was doing everything correctly.
So why is it so important to have a supplement for your Part A and B, which is really Medicare?
So, right. Medicare Part A and B is what is traditionally and what is actually known as Medicare. That's the government program that is the payment mechanism for 80% of your medical expenses once you reach Medicare eligibility. So that means if you take your Medicare Part A and B benefits only, you have an 80-20 policy, so that means 80% actuarially of your expenses are covered, and you are liable for the last 20%. That sounds pretty good.
Without limit, though. Right?
That sounds pretty bad, right? So, 80-20 sounds great, but when you realize that Medicare itself, the A and B benefits, do not create any top-end protection for you. Meaning, if your bill is $1 million, if your bill is $100, $20 doesn't sound so bad. But if your bill is $1 million, which very easily could happen if something serious happened, or over the course of your life, $200,000 doesn't sound so great. So,
not at all.
Right. So what has happened over the course of time is private insurance companies have worked with Medicare. They have to follow all the rules and regulations that Medicare sets out. They have to cover everything Medicare says is a covered expense. But you get to participate in creating top-end protection for yourself. So you get to cap that last 20%, either by using a supplement where you pay a monthly premium for, and maybe in Jill's case, she was already apprehensive about even adding a supplement, so maybe a pay-up-front plan is not the right option for her, but since the Reagan administration, and really in the last 10 years, Medicare Advantage plans have become almost as popular as the supplements, and they also help you cap that last 20% through a sharing system, if you will, using a managed care plan. So you generally don't pay anything on a monthly basis to have this policy, but what these plans do is they create top-end protection for you by creating a maximum out of pocket on an annual basis of what you can spend. So let's say, for example, Jill needs a lung transplant, and that's $1 million. Well, instead of paying $200,000 in 1 year, her expenses on many Medicare Advantage plans would cap out between $2,000 to $4,000, or between $3,000 and $4,000. Sounds much more palatable. The other great thing about Medicare Advantage plans is, one, you're not paying a premium for them. You get your prescription drug coverage bundled. Jill's not on any prescriptions at the moment. However, if one's added for her, she'll have coverage for that. Medicare Advantage plans also offer additional benefits that most people don't consider part of their medical expenses, but now you can loop them in. Dental coverage, eye coverage, hearing aid coverage, over-the-counter expense coverage, not at 100% at a dollar amount, but still you've got some coverage there. Gym memberships, physical therapy, so many different pieces of your expenses that, most people are just generally paying out of pocket for them. They've got a copay here, they got to pay for glasses there. These things are common, but now in retirement, or once you've reached Medicare eligibility, this one addition to your Medicare benefits can help you pay for all of those things.
So
no cost.
No, I mean, so it's interesting for Jill is that
premium.
You have to have A and B.
Yes.
You're buying a supplement to basically fill the gap of what Medicare does cover. Okay, what they figure is a covered expense, and capping that expense in your lifetime.
Right.
You're also having to purchase coverage for prescriptions, which Medicare doesn't cover at all on outpatient.
Correct.
And you may find, and that's why I think it's really important to visit with a professional like Frank that we have in our office, is that what is the stuff that Medicare isn't covering that could be covered possibly by supplemental benefits through these
Medicare Advantage plans.
Right. Like you're saying, like long-term care, like dental, like vision, like hearing.
Right, not long-term care, but everything else, yes,
Okay.
Hearing, dental, vision.
And these over-the-counter drugs. So you got to have it. But, Jill's still in the window.
Right, Jill hasn't made any errors, And also, she hasn't created a situation where she has to wait any period of time. She still has the opportunity to sign up. So again, it really makes sense when, just like Jill did, when you're approaching the time in which either time is running out on your window or you're turning 65, you haven't quite got there yet, just to confirm even if you've already made your decision, so you think, just to confirm your thinking with a professional. It's never any cost to you. And in fact, I would flip it the other way and say, hopefully it's going to save you a few dollars because, for example, with Jill, even if she decided not to take a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, she was just going to take her A and B benefits, and she wasn't going to take our advice. Well, down the line, if she wants to add a prescription drug plan, she's going to have a penalty to pay in order to obtain that coverage. She's also going to have to wait for an enrollment period in order to get it. So even if her, medical wasn't a big deal, she went to the doctor, they prescribed something like a cholesterol or a blood pressure med, and she didn't want to pay for it out of pocket. She wanted a prescription drug plan. Well, adding it, she's going to have a lifetime penalty assessed if she doesn't take those things now.
Well, I know that obviously you have to enroll in B on a timely basis.
Yes.
And you have a penalty if you don't enroll on a timely basis. But I think the bigger thing is if she did enroll in A and B and then woke up and goes, whoa, maybe I really do want a supplement, she doesn't really get in the next month if she's out of her enrollment period, correct? Well,
if it's an actual supplement, you can apply year-round. However, if you are not within your window of guarantee issue, which would be that 7-month window that surrounds the month of your birth, if you've exceeded that, then you have to go through medical underwriting in order to get a supplement. So theoretically, if Jill waited 8 months, she could apply for the supplement. However, it wouldn't be guaranteed to be issued to her like it is during her enrollment period. So there's a hurdle to jump in that situation. With a Medicare Advantage plan, you're locked out until open enrollment.
Which is
October 15th through December 7th, starting January 1st. So you wouldn't get that initial, you wouldn't get coverage the first of the next month if you're outside of an enrollment window.
And it's curious to me because Jill probably doesn't realize that if she is well and she is healthy, enrolling in a zero premium Medicare Advantage plan doesn't cost her anything. So therefore, she doesn't have to run afoul of any of the rules. Have to wait for anything, and she still has the coverage that she has, and she basically just created that top end coverage that she needs should something happen down the road.
I mean, I would just describe it as, and we would request that Jill have the same Medicare coaching session that everyone has with us, which is even if she has no physicians or prescriptions, it's important to sit down and chat with a professional about how you use your health care, when you use it, because I wouldn't characterize the need for a Medicare Advantage plan as sick or healthy. I would say that it's about usage. Jill's a low usage person, so it seems like a Medicare Advantage plan would be an excellent fit for her. Other people can be very well and use the plan quite frequently. Maybe Medicare Advantage is not the right fit. So it's definitely important to work with someone because, again, it's no cost to you.
And that's easy to do. Just call our office, 314-863-0008. Say, hey, I want a Medicare coaching session.
Kelly will set you up with our Medicare expert, Frank.
Fabulous Frank, as we like to call him. And that's what the folks visit with him tell us, that Frank does a fabulous job. He's very clear, and they're also able to be put in a position where they can make some good decisions about their coverage.
I agree.
Which is important. Well, great. And again, we do want to thank the folks at Anthem and
Aetna
for sponsoring this particular segment of our show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Great. I think it's time for us to get into our next discussion while we're waiting for your calls as well as texts. Let's talk about Bob and Sally.
So Bob and Sally have been with us for about 3 years now. They hadn't planned on retiring when they joined us, but they knew that it was within that 3 year, we talk about 5 years away from retirement. They were within that time frame. Bob has worked as a contractor for a major airplane manufacturer for over 30 years.
And the SOBs went and moved their headquarters to Seattle, but we won't talk about them.
And as a contractor, unfortunately, Bob did not have access to pension, but he did have retirement benefits.
Cool.
Sally is a nurse at one of the larger hospital systems in St. Louis. However, previously she was working for smaller doctors' offices and doesn't have access to a pension. So, although Bob and Sally have jobs similar to many people that we've worked with that have pensions, they were in a situation where they didn't.
But they both want to retire.
That's right, and they both want to retire at 62 years old, which for both of them is this year.
The time has come.
The time has come. And Bob and Sally basically want to know if they're on track from when we met 3 years ago to, really start enacting the game plan, putting it into place. And so what we did initially was we said, let's go back and confirm what we talked about originally, which was, how much are you spending every month? Our notes said that Bob and Sally were spending about $5,400 a month, which they confirmed was still the case. We took a look at, obviously, their investment accounts had changed over the last 3 years, so we took a look at what their current assets were. They were holding about $50,000 of non-retirement assets that we've been working with them on. Bob had has now about $600,000 in his 401k with work, and Sally currently has about $350,000. So all told, they have about $1 million of assets now that we can use to enact their game plan. Bob recently turned 62, which is what triggered this conversation. He said, at 62, it's go time. Sally is going to turn 62 in September. And essentially, they'd both like to retire to celebrate Sally's 62nd birthday in September.
And usually this is the part where we do the math.
Exactly. So we know that they need about $5,400 a month. We're going to gross that up for taxes by 20%. That means they really need about $6,400 a month. Now, through the end of this year, because they're already going to be earning well over the income limitations that Social Security puts on you pre-full normal retirement age, they're going to need that full amount of income for 4 months, which means 6,400 times 4 is 25, almost 26,000.
Gotcha.
Once they begin drawing their Social Security benefit January of 2023, the same math applies. 5,400 a month times 20% is 6,400 a month. Bob and Sally combined will have a Social Security benefit of $4,100 a month, so $2,000 for Bob, $2,100 for Sally. Those numbers sound a little bit low, but that's because they're taking their Social Security benefits at 62.5, essentially, almost 63 for Bob.
Yeah, they really had a few years until their normal retirement age, so about a 30% discount.
Exactly. But when we subtract $4,100 from that $6,400, we find that they need about $2,300 a month, or
about $28,000 a year.
And based on $1 million of assets, they can draw just about $40,000 a year using that 4% rate of withdrawal. So 4% of $1 million is about $40,000, which means they should be okay. But things are going to be a little bit tight because they both have 2+ years until they reach Medicare eligibility.
And that's because we have to factor in the health insurance premiums that they're probably going to be paying under COBRA,
which could be up to about we don't know the specific dollar amount until they officially retire, but it could be about $2,000 a month, which is another $24,000 a year.
Times a couple of years, 4 years,
which is another $50,000 basically.
Exactly. But when they get there, it'll be woohoo.
Right, but they want to retire now.
I understand. So I think they're in a good place to do that.
But guess what?
No.
There's a twist.
There's always a twist.
You know, I feel like a lot of times in our coaching sessions, even with current clients, not just prospective clients, it's almost like an onion and you're just peeling things away because as you start and you think it's just one layer and you're going through the questions and putting together the game plan, how much are you spending, how much do we have, what are our inflows, and then all of a sudden Bob says, but wait.
Yeah, he's going to say, but wait.
There's more.
Yeah, Sally doesn't want me to retire. That's usually what we get. She goes, I don't want any more husband and less money.
Okay, see, I get the exact opposite where the wife is giving the death stare to the husband because he's like, I don't know if I want to retire. Maybe I'll keep working another year, keep going and going. And then the wife's like, no, now is the time.
Uh-huh. I thought you liked the one better where the husband's going to retire, but the wife's going to work for 2 or 3 more years. And
well, that is just
you hate that
inconceivable to me.
Okay, well.
Inconceivable.
21st century, young lady.
You know what? Take me back to the 40s. I'm fine with it.
So there's a twist, right?
That's right. Bob has a business.
On the side.
That's right. He calls it his part-time job, and he looked at me and he said, Aaron, don't get excited. I don't want this to turn into a full-time job.
Yeah, right.
Right? And I kind of thought, he seems like, as you say, Dad, he's got some tread on the tires. I wonder if this will escalate. But it doesn't matter because I said, no, Bob, we're going to be conservative here because that's our goal. How much over the last 5 years annually has this business generated an income for you? Taking it or not?
This little hobby.
His little hobby has consistently over the last... Now, he hasn't taken the income, but he is able to if he wants to. He's consistently been able to generate about $60,000 a year.
That's because he has big beer parties. He doesn't take the income.
He's got
to relaxate during his relaxation, and he's making $60,000. Wouldn't it be great if everybody could make $60,000 on a hobby? But he does this.
That is not only, it was pretty cool to hear about, and also the light bulb just went off for me, which was not only does the $60,000 cover the potential, or the for sure health insurance premiums, whatever their cost would be, but also that gives us another planning opportunity, which means if Bob decides he's truly going to take that $60,000 a year as income, maybe that means we're able to put one of the Social Security benefits off, potentially his or Sally's. So it opens up some other options in terms of strategy.
Well, sure, because it makes no sense. I mean, if he's going to be, he's taking the income one way or the other. Whether he's physically taking it or reinvesting it, he's still reporting it as
Sure.
So that's going to affect his Social Security benefits. He'll be in the take-back.
Well,
and the answer is you don't take back.
Well, there was a little bit of a wrinkle on that, which is Bob's part-time gig became successful enough that he's potentially going to bring his son-in-law in to run it full-time. So maybe he won't have to take the full 60. He can, just take the health insurance and leave the rest of the money in there for salary or expenses as the company grows. But, it just, like I said, it gives us some flexibility.
Rock stars.
Right? How cool is that?
And the cool part is that having the cash flow,
right,
having the capital, puts them in a position where they can make choices.
And I also thought the really fun piece of this particular coaching session was, in many cases, we're meeting with people and they're planning to retire within 6 months, within a year. So the game plan happens pretty quickly. But in this particular case, 3 years ago we had this conversation, and when it was time to really, what do you call that, Dad? Rug cutting time?
Yes.
When it was go time, all the pieces fell into place because not only did we created the outline of what the plan was going to be, but everyone stuck to their responsibilities. We prudently invested their money. They didn't start spending wildly, pulling out money from their 401ks, things like that. Sure. They stayed on track, and now we're able to put those last pieces into place.
You're right, honey. And for those people that are coming to see us generally within 5 years, there's so many other discussions we're having. A lot of them we're having discussions about debt. Are we in a position where we can get rid of the mortgage on the house? Are we in a situation where, frankly, we still have to make 401k contributions? Or
should we stop making 401k contributions? There's lots of sides to this.
Or we do have a few folks that come to see us that are actually within 2, 3 months, 6 months of their normal retirement age. Should they take their Social Security benefits while they're still working?
Right. Are we going to go against what everyone's, wait as long as you possibly can to take your benefit? Well, maybe in some cases it's more advantageous to take that benefit to pay off debt, to create additional after-tax savings.
And we see that so often. You know, folks have been, and I like to say, hooked into the Kool-Aid machine here, where what they're doing is that they're trying to maximize, put as much as they can into pre-tax savings like 401ks or even after-tax Roth 401ks these days, HSA plans. But they don't have their own little war chest of cash to deal with emergencies, maybe to deal with a project that they want to have happen almost immediately after retirement. And
or even some, like, for example, with Bob and Sally, they needed 4 months' worth of income.
Right.
Well, if they had accumulated that in savings, maybe they would say, hey, Aaron and Jeff, we don't want to pull from our retirement plans just yet. We've got enough banked that we can live off that for a few months, and then we'll start the Social Security benefit.
Sure.
So there are a lot of permutations.
There certainly are. And so everybody's situation is a little different, which is why a coaching session is so important, because what it does for folks, I found, and at least this is what they've related to me, is that it's opened up their eyes to other options and opportunities. And I've always felt like the more you know, the better decisions you can make, especially if you're getting good information. So again, you know, Bob and Sally were certainly a great example.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have to take another example of a great first break of this hour.
That's right.
I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Aaron Lapidus, the retirement coach.
We'll be back to answer your calls and texts right after these messages.
What kind of Republican says he supports Black Lives Matter strongly and passionately? The kind of Republican who voted Democrat in 7 of the last 8 primaries. The kind who said this about Obama's election.
Our black vote would make such a difference in this country that would elect a black man to presidency in 2008 with Barack Obama made history.
The kind of Republican who says this about J.B. Pritzker.
It is my honor to bring to the podium a great friend, a great leader who has guided our state with professionalism and compassion.
What do you call a Republican like Richard Irvin, who says he strongly and passionately supports Black Lives Matter? The Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund president says you call him unqualified.
The organization Black Lives Matter is a successful shakedown for money. It just promotes a Marxist philosophy. Supporting that organization should be a disqualifier.
What do you call a Republican like Richard Irvin, who supports Black Lives Matter, Obama, and Pritzker? You call him a Democrat. In the Republican primary, vote for a Republican. Vote no on Richard Irvin. Paid for by people who play by the rules pack.
Do you like antiques?
Sure do, sonny boy. I married one.
I mean antiques and collectibles like those you'd find at the Belleville Flea Market. It's the largest antique flea market in the St. Louis area, with over 600 vendors each day in the air-conditioned exposition center. And there are more collectibles and bargains outside. It's Saturday and Sunday, starting at 9 a.m. at the Belle Claire Fairgrounds in Belleville, Illinois, Route 13 and 159. For more info, call 618-233-0052 or bcfairgrounds.net. Make it an antique and collectible weekend at the Belleville Flea Market.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T.
Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The all things Basement T experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
You never stop thinking about your family's safety, and neither does Ameren, Illinois. To improve the stability and safety of our gas system, we're using the latest technology, like pipe X-rays, to identify and correct issues during construction. Learn more about advances in the Metro East at AmerenIllinois.com/gas safety. And to keep things safe in your neighborhood, call Julie at 811 before you dig. Ameren, Illinois. That's energy at work.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
It's 10:34 here on the Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. here to answer your questions and your phone calls. 314-931-5877 or 84126 on the
text line. You're sounding grim this morning.
It's cold in here, man.
Sound like you're about to fall asleep.
It's like the markets. It's icy.
I don't know.
I'm frostbitten. So
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
Got the black cloud like the rain clouds following you.
We are waiting, we are willing, and we are wanting to answer your questions and Aaron's more snarky remarks at 314-931-5877 or
I'm happy for responses to my snarky
126
remarks.
from the text line. It's easy when you're sitting in the captain's chair to be like that. I can appreciate that.
That's okay. But that would make you Gilligan, huh?
It certainly would. It certainly would, Marianne. No problem.
I think I would be Marianne.
I didn't like Ginger as much. I like Marianne.
She's wholesome.
Yes, she was a nice gal. Still alive too, which is nice.
In the flesh.
Joe and Sandy, Sally's cousin.
Joe and Sandy.
Joe and Sandy. Joe and Sally's cousins.
Gotcha.
You don't believe
it's
that,
not.
do you?
It's not Joe's
listeners
girlfriend.
don't believe it. No, it's
Sandy's not Joe's girlfriend, right?
No, definitely.
They're married. Okay.
They're married. Came to visit with us a couple of weeks ago, and they were fun.
They're all fun.
Well, they were. Well, no, not all of them are fun, but most people are really fun. And Joe's 65, and he's retired, and he's been receiving his pension plan from his company, which was a major public corporation here in the city. They used to be involved with fertilizer.
Once upon a time.
And now they got this big old thing that looks like an aspirin as their logo.
It's very descriptive.
His wife, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not her real name, but I like Sandy.
Well, I don't think Joe's real name either.
No, it isn't, but I like both of those.
Okay.
I was getting sick of Sally. So Sandy is 63.
No offense to our Sallys that are actual clients.
She happens to be an office manager.
Nice.
And she is planning to retire in 3 years.
So Joe's been retired and Sandy's still working and she's going to keep working.
Yes.
Okay.
She is because she loves her job.
I don't believe it.
And she loves that Joe is at home and not at her job. And and things are good. And so what's nice is that between her work, her income, and what Joe's bringing home, they're okay when it comes to cash flow. So they're meeting their expenses. They're still able to maintain their lifestyle, which is neat.
Well, that's true, but they're not really able to make large contributions to Sandy's retirement plan.
No, they're not at this point. But Joe's in good health.
Okay.
He has a family history of longevity. His siblings are all alive.
Gotcha.
But they haven't been great savers when it comes to after-tax savings.
Right. They've only got about $5,000 in their savings account.
And normally, our advice would be for Joe to wait until his normal retirement date of 66, and sometimes even later.
Well, especially in this case, since Joe is 65 right now, Sandy's going to keep working for 3 more years, which would put Joe at 68.
Well, I thought you were going to say that would put Joe in the doghouse because his wife's working for 3 more years. I don't think so,
you know what?
honey.
If Sandy's okay with it, I just, stand up for the ladies here. Yeah. They got a lot of responsibilities. They should be able to relax.
The answer to that is yeah. So his current monthly benefit with Social Security, if he were to take it today, is about $2,100 per month. Now, Joe has told us, because of Sandy's insistence and persistence, by the way, he's not going back to work.
That's a likely story.
We don't have to worry about him violating the $19,560 per year rule for taking Social Security benefits
early, before 66.
And if he waits, he's only going to get about $170 a month
more
for each year that he waits. About $500 if he waits until Sandy leaves in a couple of years.
So that would be 3 more years.
That's right, and he'll really be right there on top of his normal retirement age. So we're looking at about $6,000 a year. Well, obviously, he would be giving up a lot of money.
Right, because if we took his current benefit of $2,100 a month, that's about $24,000 a year. $5,000. I'm sorry.
25.2. If we don't apply that by 3 years, that's $75,000.
So he's going to give up $75,000 in order for the government to give him back $75,000 at $500 a month. That's really, once
that's
that piece
the reality check part.
The reality is, all it is amortizing your benefit over a different amount of time. So if you forego the $75,000, in Joe's case for 3 years, if you forego that $75,000, the government says, "Okay, Joe, well, we'll give it back to you, but only in $500 increments per month."
Yeah, it's going to take a many years for him to break even. But we also mentioned they didn't have a lot of savings.
Only $5,000.
What I also failed to mention, and really I just didn't get time because
I was talking
of your snarkiness. Yes.
Well, you are just grumpy today.
Oh, yeah.
Usually you enjoy my banter.
Yes. They have no mortgage, but they have incurred, and they do have currently, a home equity line of credit of about $28,000 and additional credit card debt of about $13,000.
How did they accumulate this debt if they were okay on cash flow?
The cannibals.
You are really just in a terrible mood today.
The children. The unending desire.
Insatiable need.
For their parents' money, that's correct. And so, much of the debt was due to a family emergency, unfortunately, and they also had to help the kids because they like them, and I schooled them a little bit on that. I've tempered them a little bit.
So part of their cash flow is a $900 a month payment for this debt service.
Yes.
So did they have to adjust their were they just taking that $900 a month home before and not putting it into Sandy's retirement account, or did they have to stop contributing to Sandy's retirement account in order to start making these payments?
They didn't have to stop doing what they were doing. They were just basically able to pay for that out of cash flow because Junior moved out of the basement, and so they were able to save money on living expenses.
Gotcha.
Okay, so one option would be for them, and something that they should, I believe, consider, is for Joe to take his Social Security benefits today. If he took that $2,100, he's going to net out about $1,800 a month, and we could split that, if we wanted to, into 3 buckets.
The debt liquidation bucket.
One of my faves.
$1,200 a month to liquidate the debt over 3 years while Sandy is still working. So, in many cases we're talking about liquidating a mortgage debt. Well, this is something similar. We have a timeline for Sandy's retirement of 3 years.
Yes.
But the great news is that over the course of these 3 years, if we dedicate this $1,200 a month to liquidating this debt, it'll be all gone by the time Sandy retires, alleviating that $900 a month that they were contributing.
Well, that's right. And again, what we're really doing here is, as you said, honey, we're liquidating the debt, but we're still keeping the credit line open.
Right, in case it needed to be, in case the cannibals returned.
Also, they could take $400 a month and increase money or deposits into their retirement plan bucket. And this could be done one of 2 ways. Obviously, one way would be is we could then begin to do a spousal IRA.
For Joe.
Or what Sandy could do, which might even make more sense, is for her to reduce her pay at work by
$400.
And just have that money go into the retirement account.
Because Joe's finally bringing in some more cash.
Yes.
Not just his pension.
And that's obviously going to create some really nice pre-tax savings
about
for them.
$14,000 a year.
Right. And the liquidity bucket, that's the last one, which is let's start filling up that $5,000 bucket. Let's add to it by $200 a month. And what it'll do is that'll create about another $7,000.
So they'll have at least $12,000. But then also, when the debt is liquidated, they'll have they'll have $1,800 a month of excess cash flow, because I'm assuming that Sandy has a Social Security benefit that we haven't even begun talking about.
Right. And in her case, her Social Security income benefit was reasonably close to what her current income was.
So with a little help from Joe?
Right. And Joe, in that bucket of their 401k IRA assets, we would then be able to, and we knew that we could, using a 4% prudent withdrawal rate, make that cash flow available to them so that they could continue their lifestyle. And that's really what it's all about.
So this is a really great example of when it might make sense to take your Social Security benefit a little bit earlier than you necessarily planned.
Right. Conventional wisdom is wisdom, but it always isn't smart.
Well, you have to make sure that you're truly looking at your situation in a personalized way versus just taking what general information is out there and applying it to your situation.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I like to bring out with folks, and generally they agree, is that the break-even point for recovering the difference between the money you forego if you put off your Social Security benefits and that increased monthly benefit comes to be equal at about age 84.
Right.
Well, at 84, I will tell you from my experience, is that generally that's also a time where we're seeing that our clients are also beginning to reduce their consumption patterns.
True.
They don't eat as much. They don't travel as much.
And it's based on desire, not ability.
Yeah, and sometimes health gets involved, but even if it doesn't, and they're just as healthy as they were at 84, 83, 82, 80, whatever it would be, we just see we have found that their expenses are going down, and we don't plan for that.
Right, so in a lot of times they're actually accumulating some excess cash in their savings account because we're still sending them the same amount that we originally talked about, and they're just not spending as much of it anymore.
Yeah, so, my thought is that it's almost like in a pension election. You can make an analogy here. Doesn't it make sense for us to take more income while we're both
living it up
and actually have the desire and ability to do so, rather than waiting until our later years, especially if we're not going to run out of money, which you obviously wouldn't with Social Security. So making sure that the numbers are right, always doing the math first, which is really kind of one of our mantras. We do the math first. Then what we're doing is we're creating a portfolio to back up that math. Puts another rock stars on the board because they then had some additional choices, especially with Joe and Sandy about when to take Social Security. And everybody's different, which makes it kind of fun.
Right, and you can take Social Security after 62 any single month from 62 to 70. Right. So there's a lot of options.
So we're looking forward to working with Joe and Sandy. Obviously, anyone else that calls us or hits that website, right?
Contact us.
314-863-0008 or
jblfinancial.com.
Exactly. Let's take
our last break
of the hour. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
Don't you dare touch that dial. We'll be right back.
The best barbecue in town can be right out your back door with a new gas, charcoal, or pellet grill from Gas Appliance Service or the Fireplace and Grill Center. With one of the widest selections of grills in the area from Weber, Broil King, MHP, Broil Master, Kamado Joe, Blaze, and Pit Barrel, you'll find the perfect grill to meet your culinary needs at a price to match your budget. Their knowledgeable staff will show you the features and benefits of each grill and help you with your selection. Gas Appliance Service and the Fireplace and Grill Center offers free assembly on all portable grills they sell. You can choose from an array of grill accessories to enhance your barbecue or add more flavor to the best barbecue in town with a large selection of rubs, sauces, and smoking woods. So if you want a long-lasting grill that will make your friends and family say, wow, this is the best barbecue in town, go see the grill experts at Gas Appliance Service in Maryland Heights by Westport or the Fireplace and Grill Center a quarter mile east of 141 on Manchester Road.
This is Braden Shen of the St. Louis Blues. The pros at B&G Tuck Pointing are a local family-owned business with over 20 years of masonry experience. They understand your home is your biggest investment, whether you need solid tuck pointing, chimney repair, waterproofing, caulking, or foundation repair. Trust my friends, the pros at B&G Tuck Pointing. They'll earn your trust because they've earned their reputation of being the best in the bricks. Call B&G at 314-363-0525 or go online at bgtuckpointing.com.
In Town and Country, there is a community located on 21 beautiful rolling acres, making it hard to believe it's a retirement community. It's Marie de Villa, offering a wide variety of senior living options. They've enjoyed consistent management and ownership. Explore all of the amenities that Marie de Villa offers by going online to mariedevilla.com or call 636-227-5347. Marie de Villa has it all.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
That's right. We're back here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
We're willing and we're wanting and we're begging.
We'd
love to get your questions at 314-931-5877. Our producer, Eric, is insisting on your calls.
He's not sleeping because it's like freezing in here.
5877. He's vigilant. You know, Eric has been with me on virtually every single show, and he's like
one of those guys that never takes a vacation and
I look
never
like
sick.
16 years older, and he looks 10 years younger. I don't even get it. He's going to be in diapers in about
He's Benjamin Button.
Yes. Or 84126 from the popular, I think something popped up, text Lino. Woo!
I don't think you're right.
I don't even like you today.
That was wishful thinking. It's an I-bond question.
Beautiful. Give it to me.
I'm kidding.
I need it. Tell your mom. Drive to the bank herself. I'm not taking her for an I-bond.
No.
That'd be like selling away. I'd have to say what bank I went to and I get in trouble, right?
That is correct. You need to be consistent.
Again, while we're waiting for your questions at 931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. What are rock stars? And I don't mean that they're good singers.
I bet some of our clients are, though.
They are.
We have some musicians and such.
We do. And, I've defined a rock star as someone who, or a couple, when they have more income sources or more capital to generate income sources than they really need in retirement. Pretty simple. Pretty
simple. Yep.
So let's talk about Joe and Sally's.
Cousin of Joe and Sandy.
Second cousins.
Okay.
Joe and Sandy. Because they had first cousins, Joe and Sandy. Now we're at the second.
Joe and Sally. Okay.
They're both normal retirement age. They made it. They're grown-ups.
They made it.
It's all good. And they have about $1.8 million in non-vault.
So that
assets.
means that those are assets that they are not holding at their local bank or whatever other financial institution that they're using, that they can
IRAs,
easily get access to their
401ks, Roth IRAs, all that kind of stuff. Not a part of it. We've determined after talking to them that their income level.
Before we talk to them.
Yes. We have real people on the line.
Joe and Sally are real, but we have Tony on the line that has a retirement planning question.
Tony! How are you?
I'm good. How are you on this fine, rainy day?
I'm doing great because you called. Fire away, my boy.
Well, I'm 64, or I'll be 64 here in a couple of weeks. And I'm wanting to go ahead and retire and not wait until my full retirement and stuff. So I make about $2,600 without really too much overtime.
Okay.
A month. So I wanted to get some suggestions on what I need to do to go ahead and retire as far as, the way the economy is and everything.
Sure.
It's not looking good for going into retirement right now.
Well, it's interesting because I think that we can, in many cases, or we should try to, sort of divorce, if we can, what's happening in the markets in Washington, D.C. with what's happening in our own life.
That is a good.
So
it's hard, but
in your case, Tony, I'm assuming that this $2,600 per month you were referring to was your, let's call it your after-tax income. Okay, what you're taking home. And if that's really the case, what I would be doing is at 64, you can compare where you are with your Social Security benefits. Now, if you look at your statement, or you go online and get your statement, I'm sure that number, if you've been working and you have your 40 cover quarters, and it's probably very close to that number.
Sure.
If that's the case, that's cool. If you need to supplement that number with income maybe from either part-time work, if you feel like doing it, or maybe from the retirement assets that you've accumulated. Let's use a simple example. I mean, I think you can do the algebra at home. It's pretty easy. Let's just say for fun that you decided that you needed $500 a month additional income on a net basis to supplement your income. If I multiply that by 12, that means I need about $6,000 a year. If I divide that by 4%, that really means I need how much, babe? Because my calculator brain isn't working. It's about
how much do you need per month?
It's 150,000, right? Of course it is.
How much? 150. How much?
He needs 6,000 per year, 500.
6,000 per year.
So that comes at a 4%.
$150,000. Calculator not broken, up and running.
Never broken. Thank you.
Always ready.
So if you had 150,000 between a Roth or a IRA, or if you happen to be somebody that works at the trades, you have it inside your annuity, as they call it, even though it's not an annuity. We could withdraw 4% prudently each year, regardless of the market's up or down. That'll give you your 500. With your Social Security, you'd be good to go.
To go.
Your big issue, my boy, is
health
that,
insurance,
not that you talk like you're from St. Louis, because it was about retirement, okay, is...
Now he's making
do
fun of
you
everybody.
still... Listen, I do the same thing. I was listening to myself the other day, and I'm thinking, I'm always saying retirement. I mean, I'm starting to sound more like a Missourian all the time.
Well, you've been here for 40-plus years.
It's all right. I still claim the Pirates and the Steelers. I can't help it. So, real issue here for you becomes, do you have tread left on your tires? Since you are pre-60 or pre-66 and 6 months, 66 and 10 actually is your normal retirement age. Guess what, Chucky? Or maybe 67.
Tony is his name. Come on now.
Anthony, my boy. If you're going to work part-time, not get paid under the table, but actually it's real earned income, if you go over $19,600, my friend, you're going to be giving back Social Security benefits $1 for every $2 you earn over that $19,560. So that's kind of a hurdle that you're going to have to think about. That may put you in a position where, hey, based on the income needs, you have to do a little bit. Or B, maybe wait to put off Social Security. Those are things you need to think about. Those are things that you can talk to your advisor about. Because naturally, if you just say, hey, I'm going to work, cool. But let's say you're not earning as much as you need. Like in this case, you said you need $2,600 a month. If you're only earning $1,800, well, you still need money.
Right. How are we going to get that? Is it enough from your retirement plans
you're
to do that?
You're a grup, right? A grown-up. You're over 59 and a half, so we certainly could, if we wanted to, cash flow money, you're paying taxes on it, from your IRA. And then when you decide to either hit your normal retirement age, 67, or alternatively, if you decide to go into that 19.5 window, we start sending you Social Security benefits. So Aaron and I like to think about this as faucets and jars.
Right.
You know, you have these reservoirs of money. One of them is your Social Security benefits. When do we turn on the faucet to fill that income jar? You have IRAs, maybe Roths, maybe non-retirement benefits. Maybe you won money at the casino, whatever it would be. when do we turn on those faucets to create an income flow for you to do that? Once we have your income flow buckled down, okay, you're feeling confident, we're feeling confident, it's realistic, we can make this work for you. The truth is that what's happening on the markets today, and it's not good, okay? It isn't. Eight consecutive weeks.
You're so sad.
It does make me sad. It does. I love it when our clients make money.
Well, of course.
It makes it more fun to them.
Love it when everybody
frankly,
makes money.
We do. It makes it more fun for us. But the bottom line is the markets are going to recover eventually. We don't know when eventually is, but they're going to recover. If you haven't pulled out all the earnings that you had made in the past, you're still going to get the monthly income you need. And you can truly get through this. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Tony.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more Straight Talk on Retirement with your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus, on the Big 550 KTRS.